Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Championship Check-In podcast with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and Sam Parkin, looking into the activities in the best league in the world. We kind of denied about doing this today, Sam, because there's still one game to go. We're recording on Monday at 3 p.m. and you told me, well, the biggest game of the weekend won't have happened by then. So this is Leicester v Ipswich, Sam. I'm out the door and up the M1 after we finished, yeah?
You paraphrased there, mate. I said the biggest game of the season. I went two-footed. So, yeah,
it's not like me to undersell something, is it?
I mean, even though I was working and thoroughly enjoyed it on Saturday afternoon, it did feel like there was kind of a lack of top fixtures with something really on it. So much so that I plucked Huddersfield at Blackburn out of my backside as the game I was most looking forward to much derision when I announced it at 2:30 on Saturday. So, yeah, with Leeds playing on Sunday lunchtime and what's to come tonight, and Southampton playing early on Saturday, it wasn't the best card, shall we say, for the 3 p.m.ers. But, yeah, looking forward to tonight.
Speaking of said card, before we go to Parkin's pick, this is what Parkin is going to be picking from. Sunderland 0, Hull 1. Sam, I watched along that. That was horrendous for about 60 minutes, and at least the goal brightened us up. Swansea 1, Southampton 3, Blackburn. We got 3 1-1s in a row here. Blackburn 1, Huddersfield 1. We feel guilty about playing 1-1s in the prediction, but we should have played more. Bristol City 1, Watford 1, Middlesbrough 1. Rotherham 1. Great win for Norwich, Sam. They've got to be in the conversation. They beat West Brom 2-0. Plymouth, great win for them as well. 3-1. They beat Cardiff. And Sam, you thought your lot were going to lose. They proved you wrong in the best way there. QPR 2, Millwall 0. Coventry keep on keeping on. Wednesday 1, Coventry 2. First defeat for Stephen Schumacher. Stoke 1, Birmingham 2. Is that first win for Tony Mowbray into the bargain as well? Leeds 2, Preston 1. Late in the day, that one, Sam. A couple of honourable mentions for me already, maybe for Norwich and Plymouth, possibly. Do you agree with them as honourable mentions as we head towards our Parkins pick?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know if it's this stage of the season or if it's just football in the Championship, but every result, every victory felt like a really big one this weekend. Definitely Coventry, unfortunate not to be featuring in the next segment. And I would say QPR as well. I think, yeah, I totally agree that the aforementioned sides that you just spoke of deserve to be in the conversation. But I thought the QPR victory was enormous for reasons we'll come on to today. And Coventry continuing in the same vein of recent weeks and months. But that leads me nicely onto the team I haven't mentioned.
I need to press the button first. "20 games undefeated, Sam, in the EFL, even more if you count the cup games as well. Parkin's pick is Southampton.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed that opening 45.
Stop it.
I kind of probably went into it thinking, tactically this was going to be fascinating. How was Luke Williams' team going to measure up? How were they going to set up? They had no answer to the movement, the rotation. I think the patterns, all the things that they probably work on day to day, just able to free up spare men in Swansea's half. Really aggressive with their starting positions. We know that. 2 centre halves halfway in the Swansea half for periods in that opening 45, and so dominant. I kept kind of refreshing the statistics because at one stage I think it was like 10 shots to 0 or something.
They nearly had 3 XG in about 40 minutes, didn't they?
Was it
ridiculous? Yeah.
I think Rushworth made 7 saves in the first half. It was incredible and just quite amusing, really, to see Swansea go down the other end and get one. And I thought that just summed up football. You can be in such total domination, but the only thing that matters is the scoreline. So it probably wasn't as comfortable as it should have been. It wasn't as comfortable as it should have been. It should have been 5-1 at half time, and they should have been able to play with 6 players for the second half. But Swansea rallied, and credit to them, and made a few changes, and they probably finished the stronger of the two sides. I thought the substitution, Harwood Bellis going off, maybe had slight impact on that, given that he was on a yellow, so probably sensible. But I thought that weakened them to a degree. But no, I thought it was a brilliant performance. I thought that Swansea have seen possibly what they could have had a bit of with Russell Martin had he been able to add to his squad, and with games against Rotherham and Huddersfield on the horizon, I'm guessing this is going to extend to 22 matches unbeaten pretty quickly.
So where does it end then? Because I mean, we've kind of been looking at how the running is going to be, and you mentioned those two games up next, which right now you can't see them not getting. 4 points we'd be shocked at. You're looking at it and you're thinking 6. Let me just bring the fixtures up there, Sam. So yeah, Watford in the cup. So they go to Rotherham. Okay, you'd rather play Rotherham at home than away, but they're still bottom of the table. Huddersfield down the bottom there as well. Bristol City, and then it does start to change a bit, Sam. West Brom away is never easy, is it? Hull, well, we'll see where they are at that point. Millwall. And then if I flip to the next page, it should get really interesting. Birmingham, Preston, and then Sunderland, Leicester, Middlesbrough, Ipswich, Blackburn in there. They're not doing so well. Coventry, Watford, Cardiff, and of course, we all know Stoke and Leeds on the last day. So it does feel they're going to keep on keeping on. And I don't know, is there a chance the damage will all be done by the time we get to those hard matches?
Maybe, although, I think if they're to get through Bristol City away and West Bromwich Albion away in quick succession, that's some going. That's a test for them. And it was interesting to read this morning, that's only the first time they scored more than 2 away from home all season. So there's no given they're going to go to those two sides and put them to the sword. And I think with Scott Twine going in at Bristol City, that improves them in an attacking sense. I think they're a bit short in that department. I was really impressed with them against West Ham last week. The style of play, the kind of intensity, they wanted to get the ball out and really punch it into teammates. The style of play is great. I think they're kind of close to adopting it to good effect. I think there's a few teething problems there, but I think they're a good side.
That game gets harder, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're improving each game, and I think there's still some way to go for them. But I think that will probably happen when they can do a bit of wheeling and dealing in the market. And West Bromwich Albion at home, we know what they're like. So I see those two as real tough games. If they can get through that, then it's going to be difficult, isn't it, for the other teams that are in the running to stay the pace with them, because they're just formidable at the moment. And just one last point, I don't know what the latest situation with Che Adams is, but there's an argument now to say that they're going so well, and there's the prospect of them being promoted, and he seems to have been kind of reintroduced to the starting lineup, scoring goals, looking the business again. Possibly he could rethink maybe moving on this year, and that would be incredible news for Southampton supporters if he could stay on.
2 questions to end. Are they your favourites for second? As we sit here right now, they're second. If Ipswich Town score a point tonight, they won't be second anymore. Are they your favourites for second? And God forbid, can they even have a look at Leicester at any point?
Joby McAnuff told me in no uncertain terms on Saturday afternoon, that Leicester are far and away the best team, and I'm going to bow to his superior knowledge of getting promoted out of the Championship.
Fair comment, yeah.
Let me have a little look. I mean, 4 points between Leeds and Southampton is not a great deal either, is it? So
remember, Sam, as well, Leeds play on Wednesday, don't they? So that could be down to 1 point as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. As we sit here now, yes, they're my favourites for second, but it is so marginal, and it's marginal over Ipswich and Leeds in tandem. Am I saying that with my blue tinted spectacles on? Possibly.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, though. Yeah,
possibly. But I'm so conflicted, because you watched Leeds yesterday and you see the abundance of attacking talent. More than that now, Ben, I think actually you see like a brilliant 11. You see different facets to it now. The midfield options, the way Gruif is performing. Fullbacks, Archie Gray, I thought was great. So there's different facets to them now, and Ipswich, obviously, I think pound for pound, when I've been in the stadium, have entertained me more than any other team, maybe even Leicester on occasions early part of the season. But yeah, I think now, considering the way they're playing, the squad they've got, Southampton just about my favourites for the second spot.
Great way to finish that one. Let's move on to Worldie of the Week. You disappointed in our Championship lads this week. Not a vintage week, was it? Looking for that Worldie.
No, I can't give it to Ilias Chair or Sinclair Armstrong, unfortunately.
Combined distance of about a metre, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, my favourite distance. No, you've got an honourable mention, though, haven't you? But we can't have another free kick. That was it. Oh, I tell you what, 2 great goals in that game. Yeah, because I was watching that in the studio. The Stansfield goal was beautiful. And the Bacuna free kick. But
so
we've had too many dead balls, mate, haven't we?
I know. Public apology to Birmingham fans. It's not going to be Bacuna, but it's a great strike, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, great strike. Yeah, I love both those goals. Great quality. There was a brilliant Tony Mowbray interview, actually. It was by Pat Murphy, I believe.
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
On 5 Live, and Mowbray was just on brilliant form. And yeah, Mark Chapman came back to me and Joby McAnuff in the studio, and we just smiled throughout it, and he just summed up brilliantly, Tony Mowbray, what he wants from the players, and also encapsulated that performance, in a few words, and just said, it's what I want from my teams. Entertaining, brilliant goals, flair, but I want the grit and the other side. And that's the only way.
Yeah. Did well to keep the ball out of the net more than once, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's the only way to prevail, especially in the Championship. It's tough, especially when you haven't got, an abundance of resources like quite a lot of the team. So that was a great interview. Anyway, I digressed. Our goal of the week, and arguably our player of the week, if we were going to go down that road, Ben Sheaf.
And interesting that the guy he does the trick on was Barry Bannon, who's probably scored many goals like this in his career. But nice little bit of manoeuvring on the edge of the box and just bends that one in the corner. Also, I think you have to put all factors into a worldie. Good limbs behind the goal as well, wasn't there? It's a good away end there at Hillsborough with the Coventry fans. But talk to me about Sheaf's goal. Then I want to hear about him, and then we really need to talk about Coventry and getting in the playoffs 2 years running as well.
Yeah, I think he's very unfortunate not to have been featuring on this podcast the last few weeks. I think he got an honourable mention for the half team of the season. If we were having that conversation now, there's an argument to say that he'd be in it. So, yeah, I think he's a bit of an unsung hero at Coventry, not amongst their supporters now. Played a lot of games for a 25-year-old. Seems to be someone that I've been talking about a lot over the years in League One and Championship. Yeah, I remember him. His Doncaster loan, I think, was when I first kind of became really aware of him. But played a lot of games for Coventry during a temporary switch, and also now as a permanent player. So, yeah, fundamental, I think, to the way that they set up. And to get a couple of goals as well. Yeah, amazing, given that the form he's in. Just caps, really, what's been a bit of a purple patch for him. I keep reading about him. I keep hearing people waxing lyrical about him. And they needed it because it was a bit of an ugly game for more reason than one, which we may get onto.
God, yeah.
So it wasn't a good game. Neither team played well, but the old cliche, not a bad sign to be winning when it's a bit of a mess. The pitch isn't good there. I think they missed the Hadji Wright option. I think not necessarily him down the middle, but having that pace out wide, the ability to run beyond. They didn't really have that at the weekend. Nobody could really stretch the play. I think I read that Matty Godden had 9 touches before he was replaced. So I think in time, and that's been my sentiment throughout the season, really, Hadji Wright will be or he's capable of being a number 9.
Earlier, Sam, I think he's got 13 goal contributions. I think he's got 8 goals, 5 assists. So even if he just goes on at the same rate, it's going to be good output, even if it hasn't necessarily been pleasing on the eye for maybe the first third of the season.
Yeah, I think he's just missed quite a lot of chances, which, he can develop that side of his game. I think that was definitely a criticism of Gyökeres in his initial spell at Coventry. No, and I go back to that game at AFC Wimbledon, first week of the season. I think it was his first appearance. He had about 10 chances. His movement was, I spoke to Johnny Jackson after the game about his movement. Godden's movement's very good as well. But we spoke about Hadji Wright's movement in particular. It's frightening on the night. He gets in loads, so they just need to stick with him. And maybe he'll have a big part to play second half of the season. But I just thought, not that Sheffield Wednesday were particularly good, but I did think they closed down that threat on the right hand side, which we spoke of 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
Van Ewijk and Sakamoto. So not vintage Coventry, but 9 unbeaten now. And I think we said this last week as well. Leicester, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Southampton, Leeds, they played all the big guys in this run pretty much. And to remain unbeaten and put themselves in with a shot is testament to Mark Robins again.
Yeah, he always pulls it out. I had a look. If the next 13 games the same as the previous 13, they'd be at 71 points with 5 to play. So there's two sides to that. They've got to keep at it after the poor start, but they're in there if they keep it up, aren't they? That should be plenty enough with 5 games to go to get maybe, I don't know whether it will be high 70s this year. I think the top 4 are going to take a lot of points out of everyone else, and maybe the playoff total will be a little bit lower, won't it? And it all feels fairly straightforward, Sam, doesn't it? So many players in the summer, they earned themselves the equivalent of a parachute payment with, Hamer and Gyökeres, and it's just taken until, November the 11th, it says on my notes, for all of those signings to click. It seems that straightforward, doesn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes it can sound, and probably when we're saying it, feel a bit simplistic, that maybe the loss of 2 kind of talismanic individuals may be to the benefit of the team, because, certainly thinking back to those playoff games, and I know it's how it panned out at Wembley, but it almost was Hamer over the top for Gyökeres. And as it was at Wembley that day, Gyökeres getting hold of the ball and laying it back for a Hamer goal from distance. But, more the former. I thought when they changed the shape, didn't they? And they were just playing with, I think they were just playing with Gyökeres. And it was almost as if they'd done away, probably without Callum O'Hare, with that extra pass or looking to feed it from kind of, what would it be? Kind of B to C. And it was just going forward a little bit earlier. And I actually thought it had become a little bit predictable. That said, they made it through to Wembley with a different type of couple of performances. 1-0 over the 2 legs against Middlesbrough, and then against Luton, it was a bit stodgy again. So maybe we're seeing a more rounded side, and potentially with a side that's got more threats. So, yeah, disappointing to lose 2 great Championship players, but in the long run, they might be better off. And I wouldn't say in better state to attack the playoffs, but you know what I mean. They might actually have a bit of better balance and some more and some more consistency, I suppose.
It's the one step back to take 2 steps forward sometimes, isn't it? And hopefully for them over the course of the season. And with the West Brom defeat, we kind of had West Brom in a little league on their own, in 5th place. But we'll tighten up on that now. So maybe we have a 5th and 6th conversation, which does involve Coventry as well.
Let me put this on you then, because it's another conversation that we had at the weekend. I'd actually had it about a month ago on 5 Live and absolutely butchered the answer, which I recalled. Where's your cutoff now for the playoffs? Because before the games at the weekend, I think if Swansea had won, they would have gone 6 points away from 6th. So Coventry 6th on 43 points. Would you give Millwall, Blackburn a chance?
Yeah, it's so easy, Sam, to look at it in terms of numbers of points, isn't it? But your quality radar has got to come up as well. And you look at it and you see Norwich in there trending up and they're close. So you almost now start including Norwich at this point. You have to go down as far as Middlesbrough, who are 11th and only 3 points off it. I think anyone below there, I know you've just bigged up Bristol City, Preston. It feels like they'll trend around the middle, maybe upwards, maybe top 10 might be good. But yeah, I'm definitely cutting off at Middlesbrough, and the Sunderland trend down is noticeable. And, Watford, Hull, I'm not so sure. But Sam, we say this all the time. Ask me in 2 weeks, I'll give you a different answer than I gave you. Ever evolving, isn't it?
I mean, do you know what? Today, that is absolutely the right answer, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It would take an incredible turnaround for Preston. I think now, that their confidence just looks shot, albeit they were obviously better for 45 minutes yesterday. Bristol City are proving 100% in my mind, but they're short, I think, in important areas. And they're probably where Russell Martin was a month into the season at Southampton. Do you know what I mean? So there's still going to be some knocks, I think. So, yeah, as you sit here now, I think that's very, very sensible to cut off at Borough. But then, if Swansea were to get their act together and win a couple of games, it could change. But yeah, I'd probably say right now, top 11, isn't it?
And to think, every year I bloody have to listen to people complaining about the playoffs. They're brilliant. They make us have conversations like this. What is not brilliant, Sam, is having to lower the tone and move to our cause for concern. Sam, quote, "I am not happy with many things. I have to decide about myself and the future with the club." What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that's the Cardiff gaffer.
That is the Cardiff gaffer. And Cardiff, and having looked like they'd found a good manager and stabilised, and the embargo's finishing, and here we go in January, that said good manager is not happy. Is this all going to go to hell in a handbasket and managerial chaos at Cardiff yet again? Because we had our 3 managers in one season, Claxon, last season, didn't we? Which we don't like. That never smells good, does it? Cardiff, talk.
So I almost want to apologise to Sunderland fans because they thought they were probably going to get some more content today, but we're going to give him a little bit of a wide berth, aren't we? A little bit of a breather today, Mick Bill. But he could possibly have deserved it again, the cause for concern, but we'll leave it for now. Cardiff, yeah. Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's almost a season that promised so much, so much encouragement from the first few weeks. I just made a note of it this morning. 7 wins in the first 14 games. Nice symmetry here, by the way. 23 points. 4 wins in the next 14 games. 14 points. So 9 points fewer. And they'd be 18th over the last 12 games. So there's been a definite drop-off. I think in both departments, they're not keeping clean sheets. And that kind of cluster of what I thought was good, decent, experienced championship forwards, not really producing at the moment. But I think the biggest issue is clearly with recruitment. And obviously he was hamstrung by the embargo, and Gutas came in, didn't he? And Siopis, the 2 players that have excelled to a degree. But to be able to play the type of football, or, do exactly what he wants to do with his team and squad, he's probably produced a bit of a rallying call to be back this January and not be a season where they're kind of hurtling down the table, because I think that's the prospect that we're looking at. Would you agree?
Well, possibly. Can I just ask you another question back based on what you've said? Am I to then, I'm sensing from your tone that you feel maybe these quotes shouldn't be taken literally, and maybe this is some signalling and some positioning as if to say, everybody, I'm asking for players. If I don't get players, it's not on me. Is there just some messaging going on here rather than a realistic meltdown incoming?
Well, maybe, yeah. And the chairman's come out, I think, today and backed him already and said he's not going anywhere. So whether that means it's been a success, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think he's been helped by, obviously, injuries to Aaron Ramsey, Callum O'Dowda. Ugbo's gone back now, hasn't he? And Panzo, I know Panzo didn't really contribute much, but Ugbo was scoring and looking a bit of a threat early part of the season. So I think that's probably been the problem. Those players I just, thought had enough in their armoury to be source of goals for Cardiff, the attacking players. They've not really produced. This kind of blew my mind. joint fewest open play goals in the division. I don't know if you knew that.
Didn't know
14
that, no.
with Sheffield Wednesday, which
Who are
probably
improving?
surmises it quite well. 16 set piece goals, which is the most. So,
Excellent, yeah.
there's different ways to score goals, and I'm not going to turn my nose up at that. But 14 open play goals is a bit of a problem now. We're approaching the end of January, so we'll see what they do in this window. But I would suggest that he's a manager with decent pedigree, and for the reasons that you stated, they should probably try and stick and try and build something. My take on Cardiff over the last few years, pretty simplistic, really. Ben, I thought it was a chore to go and watch them for about 3 or 4 seasons, probably in the aftermath of Neil Warnock, probably latterly with Neil Warnock. With Neil Harris, wasn't able to change much. I thought an aging squad that needed ripped up, and they persisted with a number of the players for too long, and it got worse and worse and worse, the product you were watching. And I thought with the Stephen Morrison appointment, they actually had decided to have a real sea change, and he was going to be the man to bring in, more passing football, a bit more excitement. And he tried to do that, and within a month or two, he was sacked. And I went down there during there and watched the game, and it was really entertaining. They beat Birmingham at home, loads of pace in the wide positions, trying to pass, playing with an intensity completely different to what I'd been served up in Cardiff in the previous few seasons. So I thought that was a mess. I thought that was a waste. Mark Hudson reverted to type, and then it was left to Sabri Lamouchi to clear up a little bit of a mess and just keep them in the division, if memory serves me right. I can't really recall, but it was a bit of a job to just a rescue mission, if you like. So that's kind of my thought going into this season. So naturally, I was quite enthused by this type of appointment and did well initially, and it's just tailed off. So yeah, all that considered, back the manager, give him some players, give him some time. Otherwise, Cardiff could revert to my sentiment travelling down the M4 2 or 3 years ago.
We'll keep a watch, and we'll see. I'm sure we'll do a special on the transfer incomings, closer to the end of the month, or maybe just after, just into February. But let's hope that there's still the name Baloo in the dugout, and there's still a few players to come in the remainder. Let's go to our meltdown moment. And we're talking Preston, Sam, and they've got the best possible start at undefeated Fortress Elland Road. They're in the game as we come up minute number 77. There's a few stiff tackles going in, let's just say. They're trying their utmost in any which way to keep Leeds out. Off come both strikers and Liam Miller, who you've bigged up before, who was a great outlet down the left. More fouls are committed, and then a 93rd minute penalty conceded. With hindsight, would Ryan Lowe have done a lot of things differently, or maybe you could answer he would have done it exactly the same and got the draw? Who knows? Preston did seem to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit towards the end of this game.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd have done anything differently. I think, last week I've read some stuff that suggests maybe his hand was forced at half time. Maybe there was 1 or 2 injuries, which made his decision easier in terms of his triple substitution, which really paid off in abundance with the victory over Bristol City. Yeah, you can play more on the front foot. You can keep a more attacking lineup out there, but you're at Elland Road, who are against Leeds, who are formidable at home, who are unbeaten at home. So a point would have been a really good result. That said, I watched them getting deeper and deeper, and I watched Leeds continuing to create chances, really. And, if I'm, talking as a neutral here, the right team won the game, right? They were the one team trying to make the 3 points, and they were committing people, until the bitter end. So I don't really have any sympathy for Preston. And Ryan Lowe, I have admiration for the endeavour. Maybe that crossed the line to a degree. There was the Ledson swipe that provoked the kind of melee. There was the Oh,
Can I just
Stuart.
say, Sam was leaving me a voice note on his phone as that happened, and he stopped and went, "Oh, there's a bit of a Royal Rumble going on here. Hang on a minute.
I
Maybe
think
I
I
should
went.
play it."
I think I went full Bridget Jones. There's a fight. There's a fight. Two men. There's a fight. An actual fight. Yeah, I think I did that. Actually. Yeah, the Stewart one made me laugh. The on Somerville, when
When he got
Somerville megged
nutmegged.
him, he megged
Yeah.
him, and then he basically tried to like wrestle his torso, and then Somerville wriggled away, so he just absolutely two-footed him. So yeah, there were some bad ones in there, but I mean, desperation kind of leads to that sometimes when you're defending. And just on the penalty, yeah, I mean that's partly why we're coining it as a meltdown. But I mean, Ryan Lowe's post-match about the handball. I mean, my son is 3, right? I can't get him to watch football with me for longer than 5 minutes, but I got him in with me on the sofa, had a little cuddle, and I went, right, watch a little bit of this game. It's nearly finished. It's quite exciting. And then the handball incident occurred. He appealed for it pretty much. Like, he didn't, but you know what I'm getting at, right? I was surprised he
Yeah.
didn't. I'm watching it live, and the ref had a great position, didn't he? And
Yeah.
obviously, immediately I looked at the ref, but saw it clear as day on the TV. I knew he was going to give that. It was 100% handball. So I don't know what angle he's seen when he went into the post match, but I mean that alone, that's worth the meltdown award because VAR would have absolutely laughed at the referee had he not given that, had they had the technology.
Yeah, very, very much so. And look, it's difficult because us fans are don't speak about you that way because you're an ex-pro, but us fans, speaking about myself, we're emotional at the best of times after games. So I understand managers, but
No,
there's
but
no call-off period.
you
The
get so
TV
much.
coverage is going, and they want to speak to them, don't they?
Yeah, but it takes 1 minute to go, 2 minutes to go and have a look at a few angles, and then I think the fans would respect you so much more.
Yeah,
I know you kind of got to cover your back, right? I'm not talking about anyone in particular here, but I'm just talking about managers because some of the most charismatic people that I've met in the game just completely change when they become managers. And I understand that you have to keep your supporters on side, you have to keep the players on side, but more than anything, you have to keep the hierarchy at the club on side. So there's no point in going out there and making outlandish statements or throwing people under the bus. It's an interesting week to say that after Troy Deeney's comments, but you get me. So yeah, I understand it to a degree, but my goodness me, the supporters will respect you so much more if you come out and say, do you know what? We gave absolutely everything and just a lack of concentration or some bad luck has just done for us in the last couple of minutes. Because that
yeah.
wouldn't have taken away the effort from Preston in the second half, and the first half where they played a bit for the first time in a few weeks. So yeah, I'd have liked, I don't know. You don't know if he's seen the replay, but obviously he's got that one wrong.
There we go. And big result, obviously, at the top of the table as well. And again, parlays into tonight with the pressure building on either Leicester or Ipswich, depending on how this one goes tonight. We're going to have a little bit of a look ahead. So if you look above Sam's head, we are sponsored by Match Bingo for this segment. Bit of a weird concoction. You're getting better at this mirrored pointing thing now,
I had
aren't
a
you,
little
pal?
stroke of my beard and just gauged which way the finger had to go there.
Little dummy run, yeah. Excellent.
Nailed it.
So this is going to be fun for the predictions, Sam, because they're all over the place, these games, because of the FA Cup. So coming up next round, fortunately, we've got a hot contender for mouth-watering matchup in this bunch. But so Leeds play Norwich on Wednesday night, which we're going to include in the predictions. That feels like the start of a kind of short but drawn-out game week. We've then got Millwall and Preston, as well as Sunderland and Stoke on Saturday. On the Sunday, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, is QPR versus Huddersfield. Then we go to the Tuesday night, the 30th. We got Coventry, Bristol City, and leaders Leicester are in action against Swansea. Wednesday, the 31st, which I actually haven't included on our list. We'll put that on the predictions as well, Sam. That won't be on your list, but we will put Sheffield Wednesday v Watford in as well. So bit of a odd concoction spread over quite a while there, 8 days rather than 7, I guess. But a standout contender, I think, for a mouthwatering matchup, Sam, and it's close to home for you.
Yeah, I think not loads jumping out at me, but earmarked it at the weekend. One to keep an eye on. QPR v Huddersfield. All of a sudden,
Yeah,
it's become huge.
Has to be, doesn't it? Has to be. And I was looking at this, Sam, and this is, and I'm the guy that always says, look, things move slower than you think. You think it's slower than you think. And QPR have been so poor. They win one game, Sam, and now going into this head to head, any kind of win because of the goal difference, they're out the bottom 3.
Yeah, any type of win. I know you didn't mean it in this sense, but I thought it was a really excellent win for a number of reasons. Of course, the 3 points was colossal, but I thought to see Ilias Chair back on the score sheet, back in the groove, certainly in the first half. Willock as well, involved in that opener. Lyndon Dykes, a bit of a differing role for him in the last few weeks, a bit deeper. Touch and his pass for that opening goal, really good. And he was one of the big plus points on the day. And above any of that, I think Sinclair Armstrong scoring in the league
Thank
at
God.
home. Yeah, after the misses against Watford. I mean, what that must do for him. I think he scored in back-to-back home games now, or certainly scored in the Cup, didn't he? So I think that will do him the world of good. I worried for him. Not that he strikes me as kind of a shrinking violet, is that the phrase? But you know what I mean? He doesn't strike me as someone who would get too deterred by the missed chances. But I just think that for QPR's survival hopes, considering the way he's been playing, absolutely amazing for that young player.
His celebration reeked of relief, didn't it?
Yeah. Sorry. And he seems to care, so. Yeah, really enthused about him moving forward now. But I think defensively as well. I think Cook and Jake Clark-Salter, Cannon's really impressed me from the moment he's come in, to be honest. So I just think all of a sudden Colback was good as well in this game. All of a sudden things have just kind of flipped, which, yeah, it's only one result, but they played probably better against Watford. Let's remember that. That was probably actually a game where they created more chances. So I think they just come into this Huddersfield game definitely favourites and definitely in a better place. And there's still huge concern, I would say, about Huddersfield in their hopes of survival. I know they had a better second half at Blackburn, but still so reliant on Hellick for goals. 8 for him for the season now.
Has he got 8?
He's got 8 goals
from centre half. Wow.
From centre half.
Thinks he's Steve bloody Bruce, doesn't he?
So I just think there's probably more clarity in Cifuentes' mind than there is with Darren Moore about what the team's going to look like going out there.
What about the transfer business, Sam? Because it looks like Moore's getting some help from Kevin Nagel, however you pronounced it. 3 players in for fees, and we think €5 million spent. Interesting one to take a championship striker for what we think is a couple of million quid as well in Reece Healy. But is that going to be a factor? Because you're not going to get that at QPR, are you?
No, I wouldn't imagine so. I'd expect them to want to do something. But yeah, amazing, really, isn't it? I mean, he just got used to seeing Reece Healy in a Watford shirt or on a Watford team sheet. So, and Radilovic, I think, came on and had a decent effect the other day. So, and Alex Matos coming in from Chelsea. I'm not sure they've worked out exactly how to use him best as of yet. So that midfield may need just tinkered with. But yeah, ultimately, the chairman, the owner, has backed the manager. It's up to the manager to get a tune out of them now. And so I think that now, to a degree, comes out to how they're tactically deployed and how he makes them a little bit more, on the right occasions, expansive, because you can't get through the season. And the last 6 weeks, 2 months or whatever has proved the majority of the time Huddersfield is setting up not to lose. Well, they're going to have to go and win some games now. So that now that he's been backed a little bit in the transfer market, falls on the manager. And inevitably, if they don't start picking up some wins, there will be pressure. And I think there will be pressure because there's been a fair chunk of the season under Darren Moore now, and everyone else has changed. So they were the first ones to roll the dice. And we've seen teams that go with 3 managers before. You just spoke about Cardiff a couple of seasons ago. It's not out of the ordinary, is it? So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But this is a massive game. If they can, they won 1-0 at QPR last year when they were down to their bare bones, Huddersfield, under Mark Fotheringham, if you remember. QPR absolutely peppered them. And Huddersfield managed to win that game. So you never know. You never know. So this is a massive game. This could ultimately set up the rest of the season for Huddersfield.
I think I might do a watch along for that one. Sounds like proper muck and bullets. Brilliant relegation 6-pointer, 100-pointer. Here is this week's player to watch. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Scott Twine, but it feels like we talked about Scott Twine loads on the show this season, Sam. So you're going to go a little bit further south and a little bit further west.
Yeah, I've told this story already, but I saw Scott Twine in the reception at Ashton Gate the other day before the West Ham game.
I thought you were going to talk about meeting his dad in a car park somewhere.
No, and I'll just give him a handshake and just.
You?
I don't know. I just gave him a handshake and went, there he is, Swindon legend, like that. And it was only when I was walking up the stairs, I thought, I wonder if I would have joined Bristol City after being a Swindon player. Just went through my mind. But unfortunately, with Swindon down in the dumps right now, I don't think sentiment comes into it. And no, I'm a big fan of his. Anyway, I'm going off track again. We're going Ryan Hardy this week. I wanted to go Argyle because I thought they deserved it after the win, the very convincing win over Cardiff. I kind of thought about the new signings because when you're looking at that team, I think there was 4 in there, if I've got it right. Darko Giabi on loan from Leeds, Devine, as you mentioned, Ash Phillips as well, and Adam Forshaw. So essentially, a revamped side, 4 new players in that team, but as is the way and as consistently has been the way throughout the season, Hardy and Whittaker are the 2 most important cogs in that machine. And Hardy's 5-5 now, if you take the FA Cup game into account. And I liked just having a little look at the statistics from the game at the weekend. 6 attempts, Ryan Hardy. Cardiff, 6 attempts in total. So
there you go.
He is another one. I don't know if I've said it today, but someone a bit like Sinclair Armstrong, not deterred by missing chances. More clinical than Sinclair Armstrong, clearly, at the moment, but just puts himself in the right positions, always on the shoulder. And I think as a skill set and as a profile, pretty unique at championship level. Always willing to run behind, always working incredibly hard, but gets loads of chances and takes chances. So he'd walk into most teams, walk into most squads, I think, in the division because his productivity levels over the last few seasons have just been so consistent as well. So, yeah, along with Whittaker, irrelevant of what the rest of the 11 looks like, they keep hold of those 2. That cushion, in my opinion, remains between them and the drop zone.
And Sam, there's that sense when your manager's gone and 2 or 3 loan players have gone, and like you mentioned, 4 new players are in. You really, really need your key players who are already there and who were there with the previous manager to stand up. And as you mentioned, from December 31st, I think, which presumably is not long after Foster signed on as manager, he's a goal a game, isn't he? So he's really helped his new manager a lot here as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, do you know what? There's a few ingredients here that I've just thought of. Take away the away form for the moment, which, of course, to have a safer passage to safety and a comfortable end to the season, they need to improve. Structure of the team, the way they've been coached the last few years. I think everyone knows their jobs, irrelevant if it's the back 3, which they've known so well through the League One campaign. 4-3-3, they played start of the season, which they can revert to. But I just think they're so well coached and they know those two shapes. The background staff, the backroom staff, the ones that didn't go with Schumacher to Stoke, they'll be really important at the moment to let Ian Foster know, what's got them success, what they've done from day to day, the home support as well, that kind of uniqueness, the atmosphere that they create, the siege mentality, and then, as we started with, maybe the most important, the talismanic creators and goal scorers. But I just think it's been so well run as a football club the last few years. They've been so meticulous with their managerial appointments. I'd be very, very surprised if this one went wrong. So for all those kind of reasons, listen, that gap may diminish to a degree, especially if Whittaker leaves, but I think they've shown enough that they're going to be in the Championship next season.
Amen. Our player to watch this coming round. I mean, it's general. I'm just having a look here. Plymouth are in the FA Cup, obviously, aren't they? But our player to watch in general terms is Ryan Hardy. And here comes the return of an old favourite. So I think it's 13-9, and we haven't had the week that was quiz for a couple of weeks now, have we? Muchly due to our disorganisation, not our good friend Fev's Football Analytics on Twitter, who sends us his dastardly questions. So you're leading 13-9, Sam. Do you want to ask first, or do you want to answer first?
I'll answer first, please.
You will answer to me, my friend. Can you name the 3 goal scorers on Saturday whose surname formed the title of a black and white TV show? So I'll read that again. Can you name the 3 goal scorers on Saturday? So discard Friday and Sunday if you hadn't got that. Whose surname formed part of the title of a black and white TV show.
Have you heard of the TV show?
I've heard of 2 of the 3 TV shows, but not one of them.
So each name forms one TV show. They're
no. So if I don't know, if there was a TV show called The Parking Principle or whatever,
yeah,
and Sam Parkin had scored at the weekend, then
yeah,
say,
okay.
Sam Parkin. Yeah, so it's like that.
I got it. I have no idea. I can't think of anything in black and white. So I'm going to just have a stab at it.
Do you want clues?
Nah.
Okay.
Black and white. Sure, Chaplin would have been in there, wouldn't he? But
he sure as hell would have. Hopefully,
I'll go for chair.
Chair is not there. No.
I can't believe I'm just having a stab in the dark. Think of a game.
That's another fine mess you've got us into.
James
would have been a good guess, but that was Sunday anyway, wasn't it, Sam?
And Hardy.
There you go. Hardy for definite. I was going to say, you just talked about him for 5 minutes, Laurel and Hardy. Che Adams, the Adams family.
Very good.
Josh Sargent, this is the one I didn't know, Sergeant Bilko.
Heard of it, wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that. I'll take
the
one.
Are you happy with 1 for 3?
I'll take the one, and yeah, it's hard on the spot, but I probably should have got Adams family. Actually, yeah, I was a little bit intimidated when I heard the question, but in reality, I should have just taken a breath, and I may have got 2 there. But I'll take the 1. Anyway, you ain't going to get niche. Okay, here we go.
I need clues then, yeah?
Your question for Ben. Okay. Up to last night, can you name the 3 players who have left Championship clubs this window who played the most minutes? So we're looking for the 3 players who have been playing at Championship clubs who have left this window that played the most minutes.
Well, Reece Healy
is not there. I'll give you 5 for your 3. Like, I kind of went for 5, didn't I?
Freddie Ladapo?
No.
Oh. Um,
One of them's been mentioned a lot on today's
Scott
podcast.
Twine. Does he
There's
count?
one.
Yes. Okay.
You can have that for a draw. And you got 2 guesses. One you're very familiar with.
Okay.
Second one, not so much, but I did mention him last week.
Lewis Travis.
Nope.
Oh, I'm familiar with. It's got to be something to do with Ipswich then, hasn't it? And it's not a definite one I'm familiar with. Why am I familiar with him? Sam. Ah, damn. Come on. Who's left? Sorry, what was the other clue? Real quick. You gave me 2 clues. You said one I'm familiar with.
Oh, one. I said one you're familiar with, one not so much. One's gone back at the end of a loan to a Premier League club, and one has joined a rival Championship club. The one you're familiar with has gone champ to champ.
So it's not Jed Spence then. Champ to champ. Would that be the lad Cullen who went? No, Cundall. Who went from Plymouth to? No.
I'm gonna have to put this.
Put me out my misery.
An end. Andre Dazelle.
Oh,
QPR to Birmingham, and the one I didn't think you'd get was Dexter Lembakisa, Rotherham back to Wolves.
Rotherham back to Wolves. So is that an honourable draw then, Sam?
We'll take the point and move on, eh?
Yeah, so I think it's 14-10 to you. Speaking of which, we are going to call it quits there. We're going to be back in the middle of the week for the predictions, which is going to be a bit weird, given they're all spread out and a bit shorter than normal. Sam, do you want to have a last word quickly before we sign off today?
Well, enjoy the game tonight if you're watching Rapid Fire. And hopefully my prediction wins out. I think I said 2-2, didn't I?
No, I said 2-2. You said 3-1 Leicester.
What? I said 3-1 Leicester. Of course I did. And thanks for watching. Tune in to see the predictions. Ben is absolutely wiping the floor with me. And we'll see you again next Monday.